Once you get logged in, it'll take you to the home screen. On this home screen, you'll see some dashboards here at the top that are just going to display your enrollment progress. So in the middle column, this one's most helpful. It'll tell you how many you have that are new, pending, complete, canceled, or denied. And then on the far right, you'll see the list of enrollments that are older than 30 days, if you have any. The first thing you want to do when you get logged in for the first time is go straight to the administration tab and provider setup. This step is very important because this is the information that's going to populate on the enrollment forms as you complete them. You're going to select or click on the provider dropdown and select the provider. If you have more than one, you'll need to do this for each one on your list and hit continue. And so in this step, what you're doing is you're just verifying that all the information is correct because this information is going to populate on the enrollment forms so that you do not have to key it in over and over again. So the first thing you want to do is look for the NPI number. In this case, it's individual, and I'll show you how to add another one if you need to. But if you have a group NPI number, you're going to want to use that to complete your enrollment forms with the group NPI. Some people complete enrollment forms with group and individual, so you'll just need to know which ones you do which as far as transmitting claims and do those enrollment forms accordingly. But the general rule of thumb is if you have a group NPI, use the group NPI on your enrollment forms, and all of the individuals NPI or rendering NPIs underneath that will also be approved when you transmit claims as using the group NPI as a billing provider NPI, which would be equivalent to box 33 on your CMS HCFA forms. If you do some enrollments under individual or only are credentialed with some insurance carriers with your individual NPI, then add both of them to your list so you can select which ones you need to do for individual and which ones you need to do for group. And I'll show you how to add another NPI in just a moment here. So go through and confirm the information is correct. Since this is an individual NPI, it's going to display first name, last name here at the top. Make sure the address is there, the phone number, fax number. Email is not necessary. Doing business as, if you have another name, put that in there. Make sure that the tax ID is correct here. Taxonomy code as well. And the tax ID also goes here in location so that when you look at your list of enrollments, you'll see the location based on the tax ID. Then you're going to scroll down. You don't need anything in this middle section here for NPPES Medicare ID. Go straight down to the primary contact information and make sure you put your contact person in here. So whoever's handling your enrollments, whoever you want to handle receiving those approval emails, make sure that information's in here. Make sure the phone number and fax number are updated as well, and especially this primary contact information email. This is where they're going to be sending the approvals once the enrollments are approved. You can leave the secondary contact information empty. They do not, currently I have not seen an enrollment form yet where it asks for a secondary contact person, so leave that empty. Once you're done reviewing it, hit save. And then you're going to hit return. And if you need another NPI number, so I just did an individual NPI, and let's just say I now need a group NPI, you're going to hit add provider. You're going to plug in your group NPI right in here. And then you're going to click search. Now, I don't have a real NPI that I'm going to be adding, so when I hit search, it says no records found. However, this provider NPI search is linked to the provider registry. So when you key in a real provider NPI and here a group NPI, down at the bottom, it'll display that NPI number, your organization/group name, and the rest of these columns here. If that is the correct one, it's going to have a little radio dial button for you to select it, and then you're going to hit select provider to add it. Otherwise, if it doesn't pull up in the registry, you can manually add one if you click manually add, and it takes you back to the same screen. So for example, We'll go ahead and add an organization name here, and then you would fill in everything else. Hit save at the bottom when you're done. And I'm going to hit return. So now this screen, once you confirm your providers, it takes you back to this enrollment screen, which is the second tab here under enrollment. And this is currently a preview of what it looks like once you start adding enrollments to your list. So this is what it looks like once they're on your list. I'm going to show you how to get those on your list. You're going to hit the Start Enrollment button on the far right-hand corner. This is where you're going to select which NPI number you want to add enrollments for. So if this was my group NPI, or if I didn't have a group, I'm going to select individual. If I have a group, I'm going to select the group. Hit continue. And it takes you to this payer search screen. On this payer search screen, I recommend you first add your state insurance payers. So let's go to, I'm going to use Virginia, for example. And you can go ahead and hit search, or if you know the specific plans that you need from Virginia State, you can go ahead and key those in. So for example, if I want Blue Cross Blue Shield, I can type in BCBS in the payer name, hit search, and here it displays my Blue Cross Blue Shield. Now, two things you want to look for: make sure if you are sending professional claims, the 837P is the format for electronic professional claims, or if it equivalent to the old school paper claims on a HCFA form, the CMS 1500. You want to make sure that in the claim type column that it says PROF. The other thing you want to look for is the average turnaround time on the very last column. This is going to display how long it takes for those enrollments to be complete. So here for the ERA enrollment, and you also want to make sure you're looking at the transaction type. So ERA is one of the transaction types I want to look for, and claims is the other. For the ERA, it says 30-day average turnaround time, and that's pretty standard for the ERA setup, for them to switch over and route your ERAs from one clearinghouse to another, or stop sending them on paper and route them to the new clearinghouse. So if you're not aware of what the ERAs are, that's an electronic remittance advice, and it's basically an electronic copy of an EOB. So instead of getting those on paper in the mail that display what was paid, how much each procedure code was paid, and what was adjusted off, if the patient has any responsible amount that's due, you would get those, sign up using this ERA enrollment form to receive those electronically instead of on paper in the mail. For the claim enrollment, you'll notice here it says no enrollment, and the average turnaround time says 0. So what that means is that you don't have to do an enrollment. You can start transmitting claims to this insurance payer right away once your revenue management is configured within your software. But I still recommend that you add it to your list. And the reason being is because you can use this same list to get all of your payer IDs that you need to set up in your Metasoft. Also, if you're anything like me, I'll forget that I looked this one up and that it said no enrollment. So I like to have it on my list. So if I ever wonder later, did I do an enrollment for this insurance payer for claims? It'll be on my list already showing that no enrollment is required. So I recommend adding them both. You'll just put a check mark in the first column under select. And then you're going to hit create enrollment on the far right-hand side of the screen. There's two buttons, one on the top and one on the bottom. They both do the same thing. It's just if your list is very long, it is convenient to have one on the top and bottom. So go ahead and hit create enrollment. Once you click on that, you're going to get this banner here on the top left corner of the screen that says success 2 enrollments created. And so that lets me know that those two have been added to my list. So I'm going to go ahead and now let's add a commercial payer. So if you needed any others for Virginia State or whatever your state is, you can also just leave the payer name empty and hit search. And you'll see all of them available here. You can just click the box to select the ones you need to add. Again, be careful. If you are sending professional claims, don't select the ones that just say institutional here in the claim type column in the middle. Make sure you select one that says professional. Also, you can use this filter. I like to use the filter on the far right-hand side of the screen. There's this white filter box here. What that does is it will hide anything that doesn't match what you've put in the filter. So I'm going to type in PROF, and you'll notice now it only displays all of the professional enrollments and none of the ones that are for institutional only. So I recommend that. There is a claim type up here in the search. However, when you use this claim type, you'll notice if I do this again for Blue Cross Blue Shield, or actually I'll just do it for the state plan. Right now there's 15 on my list. If I use that and hit search, now there's only 5 because it's only displaying the ones that are only for professional, not the ones that are used for institutional and professional. And vice versa, if I select this other and hit search, it's only displaying these. So I don't like to use that filter here under claim type because then you have to do a search twice sometimes. So I like to leave that empty and just use the filter box over here on the right and type in PROF. And that will narrow your list down. So once you're done adding your state plans, you're going to take the state code out because you notice on this list there's no Cignas, United Healthcares, Humanas, Aetnas, the commercial payers. So I'm going to take the state code out, or you can hit the clear button here. And now I'm going to search using the payer name column, or you can search by the 5-digit payer ID if you have that. So for example, United Healthcare is 87726. That's the payer ID on the back of the insurance card. Oh, and it did not find it. So something is not matching here. I'm sorry. Go ahead and type it in this one. Sometimes it does pull up under this search, but use this one. And here's my 2 United Healthcares. And then if you want to search by name, I'm going to hit clear again. And United Healthcare, the reason I wanted to show this specific one in the demo, you have to search it under UHC. It doesn't pull up if you type the whole word United Healthcare out. So we'll hit search again, and now you'll see all the other UHC plans as well. So like this All Savers here, that UHC is part of that payer name. So it located that one as well. And then you have your United Healthcare Community Plan, but the general United Healthcare with the 87726 payer ID is under this one. And it's a very long name because it's showing all of those other plans that are under that umbrella for United Healthcare. So it includes United Healthcare, it includes United Healthcare Medicare Solutions, it also includes Care Improvement Plus, and so on. So you'll want to select these 2 for your United Healthcare, one for claims, one for ERA. And you'll notice here the claim enrollment does not require an enrollment form. So you're going to go ahead and hit create. You'll also notice it says 120 days. That is not always the case. If you're coming from paper to electronic, then sometimes it can take up to that long for United Healthcare. But generally, I've seen people that they're switching clearinghouses and it takes, I've seen someone that's gotten it done within 20 days, sometimes 30, sometimes 40. That's just an average there. And it's no longer taking 120 days for new enrollments for someone coming from paper. So then you'll want to go ahead and hit create enrollment. And now here again in the top left corner, it says success 2 enrollments created. And I'm just going to add one more on here so I can show you a combination of different enrollment styles. So I'm going to add Cigna as well. Again, I'm going to put PROF since I have multiples on that list. And I'm going to select my top 2 here. Your next step, when you click on the enrollment tab, it's going to load your list of enrollment forms here. And I'm going to show you how to complete these. So you'll notice that some of them are hiding from my list that I have added. That is because the ones that say no enrollment are already marked as complete. And up here in the top right-hand corner, there is a box that you can put a check mark in and hit search. And that'll include all of the ones that are completed, canceled, or denied. And you'll see here in the status column, there is a column towards the right here. Some say pending. This one says complete. That's why it was hiding. And my other United Healthcare says complete. So it was hiding from the list. So that's where you can see the whole entire list, where you can then get the payer IDs to make sure that these are entered into your software so that when you transmit, it pulls the correct payer ID. 99% of the payer IDs for the eMedix clearinghouse are going to be 5 digits. So just keep that in mind. If you have any 4-digit payer IDs from a previous clearinghouse, and you also want to double check the payer IDs for your state plans, like your state Medicare, Medicaid, Blue Cross Blue Shield, also your Railroad Medicare and TRICARE. Those are usually different from clearinghouse to clearinghouse. Most clearinghouses use their own unique payer IDs for those plans. For the commercial payers, those are going to be the same across the board for most clearinghouses, as long as it's 5 digits. If your clearinghouse has 4-digit payer IDs, you're going to need to update those payer IDs with a 5-digit payer ID. So like this United Healthcare, that's the same across the board for almost all clearinghouses that use a 5-digit payer ID, as well as Cigna. All right, so I'm going to uncheck that box again here at the top and hit search again. And so now we can just narrow down in on the ones that need to be completed. So on the far right-hand side, the ones that say fax email forms to, and it tells you where, sometimes it'll say to the payer, or it'll say Change Healthcare, just because they are the hub that processes a lot of the enrollment forms for some of these insurances. They have contracted for them to do that. You're going to click on the blue pencil to open up that enrollment form. The blue pencil will load that form here at the top in your downloads folder. So if this doesn't pop up in the top right-hand corner, go just browse to your downloads folder and you'll see that enrollment form in there. So I'm going to hit open file. And here's what that enrollment form looks like. At the very top, you'll see some instructions here to send the completed form, and it gives you an email and a fax number. At the top here, you'll see any special enrollment instructions. This one's saying that the provider federal tax ID name, not tax ID number, but the tax ID name that's on the W-9 is required under the provider identifier section. And you'll notice that in these blue boxes here, these blue fields, everything's already pre-populated for you based on what I plugged in under the provider setup. So we're going to scroll down. Here's page 2. So you would just complete this form with basically making your selections and filling in anything that has that light blue, baby blue color lavender box there. So you fill all of that information in. Once that is all completed, you're going to save it or print it out. If you are this particular enrollment, you'll notice it does not require a signature. So this one we can just save the form and save it on your computer somewhere so that you can go ahead and either print it out to fax it, or you can just email it, pull from your email. If you have electronic fax, you can just save the form somewhere. I would probably create a folder, an EDI enrollment folder, maybe somewhere on your desktop or under documents, and keep a copy of all of these in there. That way you can go browse that folder to pull it in and attach it to the email or eFax if you have eFax. The next type of enrollment, it says ERA source. So if you see one that says ERA source under the next steps column here, oops, I didn't mean to sort by that. ERA source here. You're going to click on the little check mark. And when you click on the check mark, it's going to ask you a question. It's saying your next step is, are you currently receiving these ERAs from another source? So if that means if you are receiving electronic remittance already from another clearinghouse, you're going to click yes. If you are not receiving electronic remittance, if you are getting paper EOBs, or you are browsing to the insurance company's website to pull a PDF copy of an EOB, a paper EOB from there, you're going to click no. So you notice when I click no, the next step says contact enrollment. If I click yes, the next step says print change of vendor letter. And this needs to be on company letterhead. So it does say on letterhead, and return the enrollment, and it gives you an email to send it to. So you just want to follow the instructions accordingly. Once you click update after you answer this question, if it says to print the change of vendor letter, then when we click on the blue pencil, it will contain that change of vendor letter. So I'm going to hit the blue pencil, click open file, and here is the change of vendor letter. Everything is populated on this for you. Here it does ask for payer ID, so I'm going to just type that in for my United Healthcare. And then here where it says aggregation preference, this is asking you how you want your ERAs grouped together. Before they send them to you, you can have them grouped together by NPI or by tax ID. So you'll just key in whichever one you want them grouped by. So if I can say tax ID and then key in my tax ID in here, which you'll see both of those displayed right up here. And then once you fill that in, any of the fields that are empty, you're going to go ahead and let's do the printed name as well. So we'll just say, whoever the provider is, put the provider name in here, or if you're authorized as a biller to complete this for the provider, go ahead and put your name in here. It does need to be somebody that United Healthcare has on file, that the name that they recognize, because it's saying here provider or authorized signatory. So type in the name here. And then once you print this out, you're going to stick your company letterhead in your printer tray and print it out right over your company letterhead. And then go ahead and sign here. Once that is complete, come back to your list, hit the little check mark under the next steps column here on the far right. And you're going to mark off that you have printed the change of vendor letter, and you're going to email it to this email address. So once you've done that step, mark it, hit update. Once you click update, then the enrollment is going to change to say pending enrollment. But I do want to show those of you that have never received the electronic ERAs from this insurance, from United Healthcare. If you hit no and hit update, then the next step, you'll see here's my United on this line here. The next step now says, instead of doing a change of vendor letter, it says contact enrollment, and it gives you an email address. So with this email address, if it ever says contact enrollment, you might see multiples. So there's another one down here. You can do these both in the same email. You don't have to send two separate emails for this. So let me show you what you'll want to include in that email. This is a sample of the email that you'll want to send. In the subject line, you're going to say ERA enrollment for, and then you're going to put your 3-digit TPID, which is your clearinghouse ID number. Typically, it's 3 alpha characters. So I'm just going to use the example ABC. If you're not sure what that is, it'll be listed up here in the top right-hand corner on the screen behind in eMedix in the very top. Mine, you'll see mine is AQ8 there. Yours will be to the left of your account name. You'll see a 3-digit, 3-character, or not digits, sometimes it's mostly alphas, 3-character ID. You want to put that here, and then you can even put the name of your account. So in this case, I'm just going to say demo. And then you'll just ask them to please set up ERA for the following payer IDs. I've listed my payer IDs here. So again, you can list multiples in one email. You don't have to send 2 emails. You want to make sure to give them the NPI number that you're requesting them to set up the ERAs for, and your tax ID number as well. And so you'll just shoot off that email to them. Once you send that email off to this email address listed here, you're going to click the little check mark, and you're going to select contacted enrollment and hit update. Once you do that, now this enrollment has it moved to the top because I have these sorted in order by the next step. So here's my Virginia Blue Cross Blue Shield I've included. It now says waiting for approval. So now it's going to stay like this on your list until the clearinghouse either goes in and updates it showing it's approved if they've received the approval. If the payer doesn't send it to the clearinghouse, then they will send it directly to you. So a lot of the payers are now only sending approvals directly to the provider. So it will go to whoever you listed on the provider contact, that email address. They generally email them. They rarely fax them anymore. So make sure you keep an eye out in your email for any insurance payer approvals. If you receive the approval, you can come right in here and click on the check mark and mark it approved. Make sure it is definitely approved, because if you mark it approved and it's not approved at the payer level, your claims will reject or you will not receive those ERAs, no matter if you click here that it's approved. So just make sure it's definitely approved on the payer side. If the clearinghouse receives the approval, they will come in here and do this step and mark it as approved. And they will also put any notes on the far right-hand side. So in the very last column under edit, there's this little icon. It looks like a piece of paper there, a note. What that is where you can view any notes the clearinghouse has put in here, or you can add some yourself as well. They do not get notified of notes when you put it in here. This is just for your own internal use, but you can see when they put a note in here. If there is a note in here, that little icon on the far right that I clicked on that's currently white, it'll be like an orangish yellow color. So that's how you know there's a note in there. So they will typically put a note in here saying that they did the step on their side if there was anything that needed to be done. This is also where you can see if the reason why an enrollment is denied. If the status of the enrollment says denied, you'll click on that little note icon if it's in yellow or orange, and you'll see a note down below from the clearinghouse showing why it was denied. This is also the area you can come to if you need to cancel an enrollment. So let's just say you accidentally added all of the enrollments under the individual NPI, but you actually need to do them under the group NPI. You can come in here, click on that little note icon. You'll want to make a note telling you why you're canceling it. So you can say wrong NPI or wrong payer added, or whatever the reason you need to cancel it. And then in the very middle of the screen here, there's a drop down for status. You can select cancel and then click save. And that will update the status of that enrollment to the canceled status. So I just canceled it and it hides it from your list. So that is how you can cancel one if you need to as well, or even mark it as denied if you received a denial from the insurance payer. So if you do cancel one that you then needed and you did that on accident, you will need to go back in and hit start enrollment and add it to your list again. All right, so anytime you need to add new enrollments, again, you can just log right back in and go back to your enrollment tab. This is also where you can check the status if you've completed enrollments. And let's just say, I would advise coming here at least every couple of days just to look at the status and see if any of them have been updated, just to make sure none of them have been denied, so that if they do get denied, you can redo it and fix it right away and send a new one in, or at least come in here at the minimal once a week to check status. So you're going to click on enrollment again. It loads your enrollments. And again, you'll find the status here under the status column. And I have some that say pending. So those are just waiting on approval, or excuse me, actually they're waiting on me to do this next step down here to fax those over. So any of them that say waiting on approval, you're just waiting for either you to receive the approval or the clearinghouse. Again, I hope that helps. Once your list grows, if you have a very long list and you want to check status, you can also use these fields at the top here to quickly find your enrollment. So for example, if I hit Medicare and hit search, it's going to narrow down my list and only include enrollments that say the word Medicare. So that's one option you have. You can also use this filter box over here on the far right to search and filter by your enrollments if you're quickly looking for a status on one. So let's just say I'm looking for Cigna. I can type in Cigna and it's going to pull on list, or excuse me, display only the enrollments that match the word or ID or number, whatever I put in that filter box. You can also search by payer ID as well. So that filter comes in handy when you need to quickly find something on your list. And that is it as far as enrollments go. I do want to recommend that if it directs you to do an online enrollment, like some of these will say enroll in portal, This is directing you to the payer's website, and those instructions will be listed here. If you click on the blue pencil, it's going to give you all of the instructions on where to go and what to do for those enrollments. It'll even give you the clearinghouse information to key in. If you get stuck, I would recommend that you contact the payer directly because it is the payer's website. The payer, the insurance companies are the ones that are requiring these enrollments, not the clearinghouse. It's the insurance payer enrollment forms. So if you do get stuck on one payer website, call the payer directly. They're going to be most helpful because they're going to know their website in and out and guide you through getting that fixed or enrolled. All right. If you have any questions regarding like a status on an enrollment, if you have submitted that enrollment and it's longer than the amount of time that it said it would take to get approved and you do not have an approval from the payer, you can always shoot an email here to the same email address right at the top of your screen and they can check the status for you. Other than that, if it's something regarding the website or you don't see a step that you need or you're getting an error on this eMedix website, you can contact our support department at ASCOMP at 480-497-7474. I hope you found this video useful. Thank you so much.
Hey, thanks for watching our video. If you want more videos like this, be sure to subscribe and also do us a favor and click that like button. Thanks again and see you on the next one.